After playoff spoilers come through on top in Kentucky, the round of 8 is still wide open as we head to Homestead-Miami for the second race of our October awareness of breast cancer. This is the Racing for Breast Cancer 200, and this time around, we've taken it down to Florida for 134 laps of action. It's going to be, of course, now drivers such as the number 18 machine on the circuit. Cody Smith currently has provisional pole with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in our qualifying session. Great to have you all aboard for the second race of the round of 8, and we're now only 3 races away from the season finale here in 2023. Been a fantastic season so far, 28 races in, and it's unbelievable how close we are to crowning a champion at the end of the tour. End of October, the end of the Octane Series in 23, and we're looking still to find out who will make it into the round of 8. Of course, with a spoiler in Cody Smith winning, it's still wide open. It could still be any of the 8 drivers who are able to make it through. The bubble battle is still as fierce as it gets, and with less than 2 minutes left in qualifying, 12 drivers have taken the time of those that have registered just under 20 right now. Ross Cato jumps up to the top, and just like that, Ross and number 12 machine move up once again, and Ross Cato needs a fantastic finish tonight. He's looking for a victory, of course. He's one of the drivers still inside of your the round of 8, which we're looking for now to find a final 4. 8 drivers are eligible for the championship now. 4 drivers will be eligible in our season finale in Phoenix. This could be the make or break race as Cato drops down to the inside line, enters pit road, and he's going to be passed by Sam Nito. Sam jumps up to the top of the board, new man on the pole position by 13 1/1000ths of a second. As it stands, it's going to be Sam Nito leading the way over Ross Cato, Cody Smith, and Nick Tarbuck, with Seth Well now having a time in the 5th position, Caitlin Height in 6th, and Jacob Fife then in 7th. Tom Wetmore jumps up to 4th, and Wetmore, who's looking to have a rebound run, not the best round of 12 for the driver, this number 51, and Tom now looking to get back to his winning ways, starting 4th place tonight, looking for the 6th win of the season. Wetmore going to start just outside of your podium. As Tom Wetmore came through that time by, still many drivers on the track such as John Steele and the number 22. John Steele going to be on the way in the Balls number 22 Chevy Camaro, and right now for John Steele, this team looking to become one of the many playoff spoilers still in the field. You've seen a bit of an increase in attendance of those drivers who are still not in the championship hunt, whether they were eliminated last round or made a part-time campaign this year. Many drivers who are not in the championship race are still going for victories in their own right, and Cody Smith showed all the drivers who are marked in red you can still get it done even if you're not eligible for the 2023 crown. John Steele going to make it around this time by, with Sam Nito the fastest man in qualifying. It's going to be the number 2 up to position number 1, and Sam with a familiar place, pole position from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And with our pole position set now, it's going to be second practice on the move. 1 driver going to be on the way. That's Sam Nito. Not to be outdone is John Steele coming out of pit road 2. And we're expecting a lot of green flag racing after a great race at Kentucky. Only 1 caution, which is our stage break, which comes around 55 laps into the action. So expecting to see a lot more of the same here tonight. It's going to be a lot of green flag racing to keep an eye out for. Not to mention, we're also going to see a lot of strategy in terms of tires and fuel. That made the distance last time around in Kentucky. If you can do something different, older tires might be able to hold on. Cody Smith, though, proving that he could charge up late when it mattered the most. So strategy is going to be a huge part of the puzzle here tonight, and if you figure out the correct strategy, you'll have a much better chance to go for the race victory, and part of the strategy comes in qualifying and track position. So how's about we find out who's starting where in our second race of the round of 8? 3 races to go. This is the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and without further ado, this is your starting grid for race number 28 of the Octane Series season in 2023. The Racing for Breast Cancer 200 takes the field to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and Sam Nito occupies the pole position, 33.158 for the man in that number 2 machine. Sam Nito going to be first inside of row number 1, with Ross Cato outside, still on the front row. Going to be a separation of only 14 1/1000ths of a second recalculated to be 13 thousandths. It's microscopic differences in your top two. Then from there, going to be Cody Smith occupying the third position. And Cody Smith with a 33.18 just ahead of Tom Wetmore with a 33.195. Then from there, it's going to be Nick Tarbuck rounding out your top five with a 33.228. And Seth Well going to be position number 6, and he's going to be there with a 33.277. Inside your top five, only one playoff spoiler, defending winner Cody Smith. Then from there, Talladega winner Caitlin Height looking to continue the redemption arc after missing races early. Caitlin is still in the championship charge and finds herself in 7th with a 33.298. Then from there, Jacob Fife going to be qualifying in 8th with a 33.298, and Colin Gidman's going to be inside of row 5 with the final single-digit 9th place. Colin Gidman, 33.402. Tom Wetmore going to round out that top 10, though, with a 33.411, and 11th place from there, occupied by the man in number 97, Nicholas Ward. Outside your top 10, you'll see all red numbers. Red occupying, of course, means that they are not in the playoff picture. Alan Rawell going to be the man outside of the top 10, inside the top dozen, though, 12th of which, 33.793 for Rawell, and it's a number 13 position for John Steele's number 22. Steele going to be 13th with a 34.286. Eric McFarland finds himself 14th with a 34.324, and Guillermo Alvarez is outside of those who took a time. First man to qualify on iRacing, Alvarez starts 15th with a Brad Patton position number 16. Then from there, it's going to be Alan Dobbs in 17th and Jorge Canales in number 84. Then in 18th with two drivers then rounding out your field. Number 19 machine inside of row 10, 19th place of Randy Fiash, and Jim Fife returning, the father-son duo complete with the number 63 to round out your 20-car field from Homestead. 20 drivers, the round of 8 is 2 races in, and that's your starting grid in the Racing for Breast Cancer 200. Sam Nito makes it around that time by number 2 machine, one of the few drivers to take a lap so far in second practice. So drivers mostly getting their adjustments done before the racing got on its way. 1 hour of practice so far. It's 8:59 Eastern here in the FTN studio. So these drivers have gotten just under 1 full hour of practice before the racing gets on its way. 5 minutes of qualifying, 55 minutes of dedicated practice times. And ironically, right now for Sam Nito, despite being your pole sitter, he's the slowest driver in your practice session, at least so far. Finds himself with a 36.981, the fastest time, 11th and last of those who have put one on the board. So Sam gonna have to put some better laps up in the race if he wants to keep that qualifying position to himself. It's gonna be Seth Well leading, Guillermo Alvarez then in second in the second practice order, and Tom Wetmore finds himself now in third. 1, 2, 3 separate by a quarter of a second, with Ross Cato not too far behind then in fourth, just about 27 thousandths of a second off. Big time names up in the front of the field tonight. All your playoff eligible drivers were starting inside of the top 10 unless they are to get a penalty, which I don't believe any of them will get tonight. They'll all be starting just inside of the single digits. Top 10 where you want to be in qualifying. Every single one of those who's still eligible is there. So Seth Well knows he's got a workload incomparable to anything else this season. It's big time here in the final few races. Seth is the fastest man in second practice and is hoping to back up that speed in the main race here in Miami. And now the stage has been set once again in Florida. We've gone to Florida multiple times this season. The opener at Daytona, then the Tube Tech 200 at the World Center of Racing, and now we get to see Homestead-Miami for the first and only time on the schedule. Homestead-Miami, of course, well known for being the former site of the NASCAR Championship races, be it, of course, the NASCAR Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series, all coming through at one point or another to this iconic venue until 2020. Now, Homestead-Miami, one of the very unique mile-and-a-half circuits for one reason: its construction. It originally was an Indianapolis clone with a smaller scale, but ever since its reconfiguration in the early 2000s, it's had a progressive banking style of corners, which have been unlike anything else in racing. It's absolutely the most unique in the mile-and-a-half circuits, and by that same logic. It's about the best of the best when it comes to racing in the intermediate track length. It's unlike anything else on the tour, and if you want to master Homestead, there's very little you can do besides understand the track and the track itself. Fundamental principles of mile and a half don't go out the window, but they're changed quite a bit to be successful here as Ross Cato and Sam Nito take to the track for the first time tonight. Now, for those watching on FTN tonight, not only is there a doubleheader to keep an eye out for, it's the Octane Series right now. The Kentucky Derby starts at 9:30 in the Highline Racing League Truck Series. They've had a fantastic season. Been great to watch it back. River Page is on the call once again, and the Kentucky Derby is the 8th race of the 10-round season in the Highline Racing League's second series of truck seasons. Of course, second season Truck Series competition. Great to see that there. In addition, if you're watching the eNASCAR Contender Series right now, Daniel Falkingham is representing Fireball Talks NASCAR Live. We're the premier partner of his number 39 team as they go through the Contender Tour. He was in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series last season, went through Contender in 2022. He's looking good to do it once again with North Force Racing behind that number 39 team. Keep an eye out for FTN in the eNASCAR Contender world as we see still 8 drivers eligible to contend for the Octane Series Championship. Only 4 will advance in that final round, but we're here to decide who's going to make it in and who's going to fall to the wayside. Second round of the round of 8. Let's get things going from Homestead. Green flags out in Miami. And as the field comes across the stripe, it's still going to be the number 2 machinist, Sam Nito, up at the top of the board. Not bad at all for this number 2 crew as they find themselves position number 1. Cody Smith, after a victory in Kentucky, now finds himself in 2nd overall, and he's going to be battling with Ross Cato to keep that 2nd spot in his possession. Cato is going to round out the podium right now with Tom Wetmore, then 4th, and Nick Tarbuck in 5th, and it's going to be Seth Well then in 6th. Caitlin Height's going to be 7th, and Jacob Fife will then be in 8th. Nicholas Ward's going to be 9th, and at the line this time through, still going to be all the same up at the head of the field. Not bad at all for the number 2. Rest of the field still chasing with trouble on back. Alan Dobbs is slow, but he's still pointed in the right direction, so Dobbs is going to come to a halt, and he's already got major damage, and ever since elimination at Bristol in the playoffs, Alan Dobbs has not done good at all with the remainder of the championship tour in mind. Looking at it once again, Alan Dobbs with trouble, and he creeps through the front straightaway all the way to a halt. Take a look once again as he goes down to the bottom side on Jim Fife, tries to make it by Jim, is tagged on the way up, and that will send Allen up to the high side and effectively end his chances at any successful finish. Jim Fife is still going in 17th right now, but Alan Dobbs fades to the back of the pack. As we take it back to your live feed, Dobbs is on pit road, and Sam Nito is still your race leader, 4 laps in out of 134. And already some early trouble in the back of the field, but their front runners remain up in front. No worry. You'll see right now 4 of your top 5 are inside the playoffs. Then from there, 6th and 7th in Seth Well and Jacob Fife are also eligible. And finally, Don Stevenson and Caitlin Height have faded back just a bit more than they'd like to. 11th and 12th respectively for the pair. That is the final 2 bunch inside of the round of 8. So for Don Stevenson and Caitlin Height, they were both winners last round in the round of 12, and they got through with clutch victories. And for Don Stevenson, his came at the Charlotte Roval, domination in Charlotte, and for, of course, Caitlin Height, it was a walk-off win at Talladega, and it was a must-win scenario for her no matter what. She missed the opening race of the playoffs, so had to come back after not making it to Darlington, then got the checkered flag at Talladega and came home with a podium at the Roval. So after multiple successful runs in a row, when it matters the most, this number 11 team has continued to come in clutch, and right now Caitlin's going to try to claw back back to the head of the field here, as you'll see Colin Goodman, Nicholas Ward, all there too. Brad Patton's going to be in 8th. Jacob Fife is going to be in 7th right now, and he's not too far behind the battle to get inside of that top 5. Tom Wetmore is going to be right now behind the podium battle, as Cody Smith is going to have to let Ross Cato go, and Ross Cato looking to capture that magic. When he came back from the summer break, he was on fire. Podium after podium, but still has not been able to collect that first win of the year. And I'm telling you this much, of all the drivers who have not yet gotten it done with the checkered flag this season, Ross Cato might just be the most deserving still without a win. We saw Don Stevenson finally break through as of recent. We've seen drivers break through as well. Nicholas Ward's gotten close. He's also one of those guys who was on the verge, but Cato's consistency puts him ahead of the rest who have still not gotten into victory lane. Now, if we look throughout your playoff drivers, Sam Nito's of course gotten wins. Tom Wetmore leads the field with a total of 5 wins. Nick Tarbuck got a win at Iowa. Seth Well got it done multiple times over. Jacob Fife, a 3-time winner. Caitlin Height, also a 3-time winner as well. And Don Stevenson also has that victory at Charlotte to go off of. A very recent victory, and the most recent of anyone still in the playoffs. But for Ross Cato, he's been the man who's consistently pointed his way in to every round so far. Coming into the first round of 12, now makes it up to the round of 8, and even though it's been a tricky road up, it's far from over, and there's no reason to insist upon the fact that wins mean everything if Ross Cato continues to succeed despite his lack of that checkered flag. Podiums have carried him this far, and who's to say they can't take him any further? Right now, he finds himself 9 laps in out of 134 in the 2nd position. Sam Nito still leading the way by 4/10 up ahead of the pack. Now some big battles going to be brewing right now. You'll see Brad Patton's going to be on the bottom side of the track. Brad is going to be another playoff spoiler up in front. His closest run to a victory came at the Texas Motor Speedway. Was able to put together a fantastic race there. Was one of the drivers inside the round of 12. Did not make it into enough of the races participation-wise to keep on going for the rest of the season. However, Patton is now looking for his first win for the Mahoney Setup Shop crew. Number 1 goes right up high. Seth Well maintains his spot down low, and Tom Wetmore, like the good majority of the drivers through 3 and 4, opts to take it to the bottom. That's a bit shocking. Now, the thing we've seen here at Homestead, especially as of recent with the advent of driving styles such as that of Kyle Larson or Tyler Reddick, if you really want to, you can run all the way up to the high side without any worry. The grip strip that is there can carry you all throughout the track. It's a risk, because if you hit that wall and beat and bang yourself too much, you're going to have compounding damage that you just can't get rid of. But if you manage it just right, perfectly make it to the seam, there's a shot for any driver, no matter who they are. And Gidman goes up high, looks like further on back. It's going to be Eric McFarland trying it, but rest of your field stays down low that time through, with your leading man, Sam Nito, having a bit more pressure that time by. It looks like it was going to be about a 1/10 of a second gain by Ross Cato. Cato's making time and making it through quick. Number 12 machine for Fast Forward Esports is making it through, and a dozen through. Number 12 machine is right there in the back bumper of your current race leader. So far, so good for the Ross Cato crew in 2nd right now. Early running, of course, 12 laps in. Now make it 13 out of your 54-lap first stage. Now, this stage, as we've seen before in this season, this is where drivers are expected to get a calm, clean run in to understand what's going on for the rest of the race. This isn't expected to be the most aggressive portion of the night. Of course, we're expecting to see some more late race shenanigans as we get down to the nitty-gritty of it, but right now, 13 laps in with over 100 laps remaining. No reason to see all too much trouble as they take it 3 wide across the track. Jacob Fife, Nick Tarbuck, Tom Wetmore all around each other. Wetmore going to have that run off the back straightaway, maintains his advantage, but not by all too much here as Fife is going to push up high. Wetmore defends down low, side by side, 2 rows deep. They continue to fight, and Brad Patton tries to break away now in the 4th spot. This is the battle for 5th. The 2-Tech Chevrolet going to find himself now in 5th. Nick Tarbuck going to work it down to the bottom side. This will be for now the number 6 position. Wetmore tries to make it through. As you'll see, Tom's going to make it to the 5th place. Nancy Wetmore in chat, thank you for stopping by. Great to have you aboard. 28 races into this season, and we're still finding out who's going to make it in to our championship 4. 8 drivers still eligible, and they're all inside the top 15 right now, but some struggles further back for both Caitlin Height and Don Stevenson, 12th and 13th respectively. Stevenson going to find himself 13th and last of all those in the championship hunt. So for Don Stevenson, very bad news if he wants to get back up there, because Caitlin Height is in 12th, just has to make it by Nicholas Ward and Guillermo Alvarez here to get to the heart of the field. Jacob Fife is right there behind the battle between Well and Nick Tarbuck, and Tom Wetmore is now in the 5th position. Up ahead, looks like it's going to be a bit more stagnation. We saw some big-time gains for Ross Cato. Those gains are beginning to fade away. So Sam Needles going to have himself a 3/10 of a second advantage, a healthy advantage, and just enough to keep on going down the backstretch here in Homestead. It's going to be the number 2 Ford Mustang leading the way, 16 in out of 134. One retiree so far on the day, Alan Dobbs, going to be that man, 14 laps down. Some troubles right now for John Steele, 18 seconds behind. Same goes for Jim Fife, and he's going to be 16 seconds back. Jim Fife involved with Alan Dobbs in that very early race incident. No caution flying, though, as Jim Fife is still going with minimal damage on the number 63. The Pro Powder and Paint crew bringing 2 drivers out tonight. Jim Fife going to be in 18th right now, and Jacob Fife going to be in 7th. Number 36 is going to be running a bit better than that number 63, as Jacob Fife is still eligible for the championship here in the Octane Series. 3 victories so far on the campaign for Jacob Fife, and as they come across the back straightaway once again, looking to keep himself within arm's reach of the top 5 picture. Wetmore breaking away, so is Brad Patton. Seth Well is too. So if you want to keep yourself within that top 3 range, you got to keep on fighting here early in the going stage. Points do matter, and right now 2 drivers that are clear cut for some stage points, Sam Needle and Ross Cato. You'll see how far away they are from the rest of the field, because Cody Smith is the only one making time with them, and Smith is not in the playoffs. As we've mentioned beforehand, your Kentucky winner, despite the checkered flag he got, he's still not eligible for that championship no matter what. So Cody Smith running very well as of recent, and the round of 8 driver, who of course did not make it to the round of 8, now finds himself up in front of the field yet again, maybe going for back-to-back podiums to keep himself very successful to wrap off the 2023 season. And as these drivers keep themselves very close to each other, you'll see Tom Wetmore is going to have Jacob Fife go down to the bottom side. Jacob down to the low side, has himself another pass. Jacob's now going to be up in a 6th. Tom Wetmore drops back in a 7th and tries to keep himself up there. Single file so far. Wetmore drops down low, and this is the beginning of multiple lanes being used at the same time. You'll see Jacob Fife now takes it high. Tom Wetmore opts to drop down low. They'll be side by side going down the back straightaway nearly, but Wetmore just not able to get that run. The high side comes in clutch for Fife, and he keeps himself there just a lane up top, gives him all he needs, and keeps that second groove in mind. Not going to go all the way down to the bottom, at least for now. Side-by-side battles continuing to develop. Golan Gidman side-by-side now with Caitlin Height. This is for position number 10, and it looks like right now Golan Gidman going to be up into 9th. Caitlin Height down low is going to try to take the single digit away, and a huge lunge there for the number 11 as Golan Gidman unsteadily moves back big. Now Nicholas Ward going to be there, not to mention Guillermo Alvarez and Don Stevenson, who is still struggling in 13th, needs to find a way around. 21 laps in of 134. Not good looking so far for this 47 crew, but certainly trying to pull something out of the bag, understanding the stakes of the situation. 21 laps in, there's still a lot of time to go, but if you're this far off the pace right now, what can you do to make it better? There's a lot of time in these races, 200 miles to be exact, so these guys get the understanding of their ability in the first stage, and they're able to sort of react and work upon it in the second. So it's one caution given at every race this season. It's approximately around the 40-45% marker just before halfway, and that gives the drivers a chance to reset their mindset, of course, understand what's going on with the car, make those adjustments down on pit road. And when you come down to pit road in a situation like that, just have to take into account what's been going wrong and what can be improved. So right now, Don Stevenson certainly going to be taking notes inside that Chevy Camaro. Not what he'd like to be doing, but if he wants to keep on improving, that's just going to have to be the way it goes right now. Up in front, still going to be 0.5 of a second for Sam, as the top spot is held by the 2 team, with Ross Cato then in second, Cody Smith in third, Seth Well now in fourth, and Brad Patton then in fifth. Tom Wetmore is going to be sixth, Jacob Fife is seventh, Nick Tarbuck is going to be eighth, and Caitlin Heineson in ninth, with Nicholas Ward rounding out your top 10. And right now, every driver still on the racing circuit is on the lead lap. 24 seconds separating your 19 drivers still on the circuit right now. 22 laps down for Alan Dobbs after retiring due to an early incident. And still, the rest of your field maintains their spots on the circuit. You'll see John Steele going to be 19th right now. He will be the first driver in jeopardy of going 1 lap down as drivers beginning to come across the start-finish line. There's going to be the number 2 of Sam Nito. He'll take it down to lap number 25 and bring another lap on its way. Still, we've got time to go, more than halfway left in our first stage, and the number 2 machine leads quite well over Ross Cato and Cody Smith. Looks like that gap is only extending itself as of recent. However, that time by, maybe some signs of tire wear beginning to wear down that number 2 as your leader in Sam Nito run to 33.999, and that's not a bad lap at all, only about 4/100ths of a second slower than Ross Cato. But this time by will be a bit more indicative of what's going on, and it looks like that it will be. 31 is not going to be the lap we're seeing. It's a 34.115 for Sam Nito. Cody Smith ran a 34.087, but Ross Cato ran a 34.031. So it's a spread of 1/10 of a second every lap. If that's the way it keeps going, Sam Nito might be in trouble. But you'll also see that the tire wear means that these laps are much slower than the all-time best on the session. 34.115 last time by for Sam. That is almost a full second off of his best of a 33.461. But only then he comes back with a blistering 33.888. So he's going to save up his stuff and bring through a heater to make up 0.2 of a second. He might have lost one, but he gets 0.2 back, and just like that, Ross Cato not able to respond. Looks like Sam still has a lot of speed left in the tank. Nobody seems to be as quick right now throughout the entirety of the field. Looking back, the closest battle right now is going to be Guillermo Alvarez, and it looks like not too far behind, it's going to be Colin Goodman, but even closer, Nicholas Ward right ahead. These 2 drivers going to be playoff spoilers looking to fight up at the front of the field. This is the battle for 10th. The final position inside your top 10 going to be determined by these 2 drivers. Alvarez goes up high, tries to get that run going, doesn't get much of it, but the backstretch still helps out enough to go side by side. So dead even coming to the 3 and 4. Nicholas Ward drops down low, has himself the bottom side. Advantageous? Maybe, but it's not a big decision to make when you go down low there. It just looks like it's the right thing to do to keep that defense on the way. At the line, Guillermo Alvarez has the edge, takes the spot, and now Ward's going to try to cross it over in 1 and 2. And these 2 drivers continue to battle, but they are not eligible for the championship here, so not the main focus on the day, but keep an eye out for the drivers still chasing down every point. You're not in the championship race, but every point still matters. You want to lock yourself in for a good points finish, so you still got what it takes to dedicate yourself week after week, and these drivers know, even if you're not up there fighting for the title, there's still a lot of importance in running well and getting that success. Race victories show what you got in store for the field, and if you haven't made it to the playoffs this season, there's always, of course, next time around, next season, where there's an opportunity to get it done once again. Right now, with only 8 drivers still eligible, some of your drivers who made it into the playoffs are not eligible anymore. Take, for instance, Cody Smith. He's in 4th right now, and even though he won last week and has been able to put on a much more successful tear of recent, just was not able to make it stick in the round of 12, and now going to have to use this round of 8 as a recoup for 2024 as opposed to continue continuing to fight to go back-to-back in Integrity Racing League championships, representing Next Level Racing, the number 18 machine, your 2022 champion, and he was one of the drivers still eligible for the grand prize of 23. Not only does your Octane Series champion win this award, but in addition, your 2023 Integrity Ignite Series champion for the entire year is another driver eligible to win this sim rig offer courtesy of Next Level Racing, a full sim rig courtesy of Next Level Racing in their product lineup, worth about $2,000 for free, so long as you win the championship. It's easier said than done, and that's why only 8 drivers are still eligible now, and that's why most of them are still running inside the top 10. The best in the business are those that remain, and they continue to battle with each other. Fife, Wetmore, Brad Patton, Caitlin Height. Caitlin drops down to the bottom side, and she finds herself down low in the number 1 machine of Patton. Brad Patton maintains his advantage on the top side with momentum and will come across the front straightaway using that speed to keep it at least side by side at the start-finish line. And side by side was that time through. Tom Wetmore, though, going to have some trouble, and down to the bottom of the track, yellow flag flies for Tom Wetmore. Number 51 machine gets slowed down, and it looks like spun around, bringing out your first caution of the day. Tom Wetmore. Let's get an instant replay and find out just what happened as the number 51 machine looks to be involved in your first caution of the event. And Wetmore is going to go around on the front straightaway, a clean 360, and he goes for another one immediately after. Safety caution. Nobody hits Tom Wetmore. He spins around twice and gets it going after some contact with Jacob Fife there. That's your instant replay on your first caution of the day. 34 laps in of 134. Yellow flag is out, and we'll restart with less than 100 laps remaining after this first caution. Now drivers are set to come down to pit road. We'll see whether or not they choose to do so. Looking at your leading pair, Sam Nito, Ross Cato, first and second right now. Number 2 and the number 12 have been able to break away from the majority of the pack so far very easily, and the rest of the field now hoping to show that they've got what it takes to get right back up there with time to spare in this event. Pace car is out for the first time today after our first pace lap. Pit road's going to get busy again, and now drivers drop down to the inside of the track to get their first pit stops of the day, strategic or otherwise. On the pit road getting busy, Guillermo Alvarez is going to get himself into the race lead. Nicholas Ward remains out in third. Don Stevenson going to be fourth, and Tom Wetmore is now going to be position number 3 as recalculations continue. Stevenson jumps up to third, Wetmore drops out of fourth, and Galen Gidman runs off the pit road immediately. Just like that, Galen Gidman going to be on the way. Caitlin Height just went as well. It'll be Caitlin Height, Galen Gidman, and the rest of your field still getting stops in. Sam Nito barely beats Seth Well, Ross Cato, Cody Smith, Jacob Fife, and Brad Patton to round out in 12th position. Nick Tarbuck is going to be in 13th, Alan Rowell then 14th, and Eric McFarland then in 15th. Still waiting on Jorge Canales, Randy Fiash, and John Steele. Jim Fife there too. Most of your drivers though have taken that first pit stop, and the yellow flag flies 35 laps in out of 134. For the first time in nearly 2 full races, we have ourselves a natural caution, a caution for cause, and Alvarez is the man who leads the way 35 laps in out of 134. For Guillermo Alvarez, the fact he did not make that round of 8, it might not be necessarily the biggest of disappointments, but his season was on a turnaround coming into the playoffs. Multiple podiums in a row. The win at Daytona really put him back in motion. His only podium of the season coming into that night in Daytona was the podium and 3rd place finish at Kansas. From there on out, he won at Daytona, got a podium at Watkins Glen, came home with several top 5 finishes thereafter, including your regular season finale in Bristol. But from there on out, just wasn't able to keep it going. Darlington had speed, got wrecked early in the going, and it just could not go from there. Charlotte Roval, of course, as we mentioned, just wasn't able to get a good finish. He was one of the drivers affected by the first lap shenanigans, and Talladega being a very risky track, anyone can come and go, and for Alvarez, just was not able to connect with all the points to make it through, wasn't able to collect all those points, and as a result, sitting out of the round of 8 as a championship contender, but still here for what will be his 2nd win of the season if he can get it. On the opposite side of the spectrum, Tom Wetmore, one of only 2 drivers remaining out on the track right now. Wetmore, that number 51, always a competitive team with 5 wins in the season so far, most recent of which being at Bristol. Nobody else has won as many races this season as Tom Wetmore. He's looking to keep it that way. Number 51 machine for Tube Tech is hoping to keep on going as they come into the front straightaway. It's Wetmore, Alvarez, first and second right now. Multiple drivers come down to pit road again. Ward, Fiash, looks to be John Steele and Caitlin Height there too. But your leaders stay out, and with 1 lap to green, it's going to be Guillermo Alvarez, your control car with your first restart of the day in mind. 37 laps in of 134. Pace car set to come out again at the latest, lap number 54, as your first stage caution, now just about 15 laps away. And the Valvoline machine out in front for restart number 1. Checkered flag has only fallen his way 1 time so far this season, but there's potential for Alvarez as he showed he's had 1.5-mile speed, road course speed, short track speed. This 83 team has just got to execute on those results, and delivering is a big part of racing. You can have that speed, but most often it comes down to whether or not you're there in the final moments. And right now, Alvarez looking to prove if he has this speed and the strategic decisions early, he can make it there till the end. He and Tom Wetmore opting to stay out on older tires right now to benefit themselves later in the main race. If you don't use your tires right now, you'll have more to work with after our first stage caution, lap 54. So the long term in mind for Alvarez and Wetmore as the green flag is set to drop for the first restart of the day. 38 laps in, this time by, it's going to be Guillermo Alvarez leading them through. First restart on the way, led by Alvarez and Wetmore. Top 2 drivers make it by quite cleanly there in Alvarez and Wetmore. Sam Nito going to jump back up to 3rd. Seth Well now going to be 4th with Cody Smith, position number 5. And Ross Cato then in 6th. You're going to see Jacob Fife and Brad Patton 7th and 8th respectively. Not too far behind. Nick Tarbuck then in 9th and Alan Rawell in 10th. Top 10 right now separate by just about 2 flat seconds. And that's the way they're going to stay heading to lap number 39 of 134. Now I'll tell you this much. We only have 15 laps to go until our stage break here, so no reason to get risky up in front unless you got those stage points in mind. Right now, Wetmore going to drop back into 4th already, and Sam Nito's clawing through the field, already up to 2nd and lunging deep for 1st. New race leader, number 83 machine, opts to stay up high, and Seth Noel also gets through. Seth is now going to be in 2nd. Guillermo Alvarez is going to be 3rd, and Tom Wetmore is going to be 4th, with Cody Smith rounding at your top 5, not too far back. Just like that, huge movement. Alvarez going to get very loose that time through. Field's going to have to avoid him on the bottom side. They all go. Middle groove is even more stable than the high side now as Alvarez gets shaky and gets passed by the majority of your lead pack. Now, Tom Wetmore is holding it a bit better here, but he's got the same age on the tire, 36 laps. It's now up to 40 laps of age. So Tom Wetmore struggling here to maintain positions inside the top 10. Alvarez fades back to 9th already, and Wetmore is not too far ahead and losing time drastically lap after lap, second after second. The Tube Tech Chevrolet finds itself up on the tie side yet again. 3rd groove is for Tom Wetmore. Brad Patton loose himself, and he keeps it going. 41 laps in, a 134. The mad dash to your stage break already on the move. And now drivers begin to prepare for the rest of the way here until your first caution. Wetmore is still wiggling up and down the track. He's still trying to keep it in control. Look inside the cockpit now, that number 51, trying to make this gamble work not only in the aforementioned long run, but also trying to hold on here with the short term in mind. Now, the best case scenario for Tom Wetmore is having that advantage late in the race. There's a caution or anything that interrupts the flow, and he'll have that extra set of tire to run through the field and become the quickest driver without any exception. And right now for Wetmore, he just ran a 34.021, half a second off his best lap of a 33.581. So the difference is clear lap after lap, losing about a half a second's worth each and every time around. Not good at all. Less grip, less stability, less confidence, and that loses you time in its own right, so you cannot afford to keep losing that time and lose that ability to execute effectively. And if you're not effective in the car, you are not able to make time back, and that's why Wetmore has been able to keep himself inside the top 10, but only just 8th place for Wetmore now. Jorge Canales gets by his teammate in Guillermo Alvarez. Alvarez is now in 10th, Wetmore's in 8th, and an old tire gamble right now not looking good. The game plan is for a long-term advantage and a short-term stumble as we now head on to lap 44 with Sam Nito leading Seth Well and Ross Cato in 3rd, Jacob Fife, Cody Smith 4th and 5th. That's the way they run right now. Top 5 separate by 1 second flat as Cody Smith gives a push to Jacob Fife down the back straightaway. Hoping to keep the momentum strong here for Jacob Fife inside of the 4th position. Fife, a multi-time winner of the season, has been one of the most successful drivers in the Octane campaign, and his success here in the Octane Series has been the best of his Ignite Series, of course. Only a podium there. Here in the Tuesday nights, though, multiple victories. So he's been able to make these next gens a much better fit for this 36 team. And even though, of course, a lot of similar drivers, a lot of very, very familiar drivers, if you watch both series in each and every night of the competition, Jacob Fife finding a bit more luck here in the Octane Tour. Even though, of course, he's gotten multiple victories, it's still very challenging. So Jacob Fife right now in the 4th spot, making up some time with his pit stop in mind, and now finds himself ahead 46 laps in. Ross Cato's number 12 is still going to be 3rd. Seth Well is going to be 2nd, and Sam Nito is the leading driver as they're now separate about 2 tenths apiece. It's going to be 2 tenths back to 2nd, 2 more tenths back to 3rd, 2 more tenths back to 4th, and to wrap out the final 5 in this group, it's going to be Cody Smith still about 2 tenths of a second off of the 4th place guys. So about 1 second separates top 5 right now. Then you have to go 1 further second back to a battle between Patton and Nick Tarbuck here. Patton stays high, and Brad now tries to work that high groove for an advantage into the corner. He nearly gets it, was clear by just an inch or two, but not enough at all to make it happen. So Brad Patton jumps right back up high, not choosing to risk it here with Jorge Canales up in front in that number 84. Tom Wetmore right now going to be 9th, still inside the top 10, but Caitlin Height is clawing back in big, and Caitlin does have new tires here, so despite her struggles, she might be set to take that 9th spot away from Tom Wetmore in due time, making it quickly through Alvarez. Randy Fiash going to be right there too, and Randy's now up to 11th, so watch out for not only Caitlin Height but Randy Fiash here as they're both clawing back at Tom Wetmore, and it might just be the number 51 machine losing even more time as they now only have under 10 laps to go in the stage. 48 laps in of 54. You can't afford to lose any more time here if you're Tom Wetmore, but he's losing so much lap after lap. Odds he's going to lose more, pretty likely. But he's still holding on right now, 9th, so commendable effort there. As you see right now, the effort up in front is going to become much more concentrated on the 3rd place battle. Down low, Jacob Fife is going to take 3rd from Ross Cato. Cato slips back outside the podium. Seth Well also going to be there at the same time. Number 49, that's the lap we're on right now, and the number 9 occupies the 2nd position with 3 tenths of a second between him and your leading man. Sam Nito, the leading driver, 49 laps in at a 134. Take a look in the back bumper here, the deck lid perspective, and see what's going on with the rear view mirror of Sam Nito's number 2. And so far very calm up in front, keeping the bottom side through turns 1 and 2, so a very basic running line throughout the corners. Sam Nito's going to see Seth is climbing through quickly on that high side. Even if he's losing a lot more through the corners, he gets a much better exit into the straightaways, and the momentum is absolutely a stark contrast from lap after lap. You'll see Seth Well might lose that time through the corner, but especially on the exit of 1 and 2, he's a jet through the straightaways, and that is a big difference to keep an eye out for. We'll see how big it's going to become here with the final few laps just ahead of us, because Seth is rocketing through the back straightaway. Nobody quicker. It's a difference of right about 5 miles an hour when they get to the entry of turns 3 and 4. That's how much a difference there is for the High Rock Vodka machine. Big number 9 is coming through, and just like that, it's another driver trying to take the top spot away. But so far, Sam Nito nearly flawless in our 51 and now 52 laps of racing. And it's been a fantastic effort so far for the number 2 team, but you can see that high side being used as well as it possibly can be. And we mentioned drivers take the high line to extremes if they're very comfortable with it. And right now, Seth Well, developing that comfort, uses it to go down to the bottom side, and all of a sudden, new man on top. Big lunge down low. Now it's going to be Nito in the position of going to the second groove, trying to defend with momentum. Coming off the corner this time by. They'll be side by side at the line. Advantage goes to Seth Noel, but just barely, as Seth has himself now down low. 2 laps to go in the stage. New man on top, and Sam Nito doing oh so well, leading the way, and now it might just be all for naught. The stage points are still going to be for him for the most part, but he wants that stage win to get even more bonus points. Down low, he'll take the top spot once again. It's going to be a white flag dash for your stage victory. Sam Nito has the advantage, and now with 1 lap to go on the stage, 54 laps on it, it's going to be 1 more lap to determine who truly will come home with the stage bonus. 1 lap to go this time by for your first stage of the day. Sam Nito's got the edge, but Seth Wells, a rocket ship up high. He goes up top once again, will sail down the back straightaway with Ross Cato right there. 2, 3, and 4 is the last chance for bonus points. Number 9 drops down to the bottom side, tries to lunge it deep, has that low line, does not have connection as they come across the start-finish line. This time by, it will be good to go for your number 2 machine, and the checkered flag will fall on our first stage of the day. It's a checkered flag falling for Sam Nito and the number 2 team, winning the stage here in the Homestead-Miami Speedway. The yellow flag will fall. 55 laps in of 134. Sam Nito wins her stage over Seth Well, Ross Cato, Jacob Fife, Cody Smith, Nick Tarbuck, Brad Patton, Jorge Canales in 8th, Caitlin Height in 9th, and Tom Wetmore holds on for the final stage points of the day. Just like that, stage 1 going to be on the move, and on to stage 2 we go. The rest of the race will be up to these drivers. 55 laps in, so far some tremendous racing, and we saw how close those guys were getting, the high side and the low side. You can run a track different, but you can still be in close contact with your competitors, and that's what both Sam Nito and Seth Well displayed as they got into it here in the final laps of stage 1. Great racing overall, nice and clean to the checkered flag, and that brings us to our second caution of the day. First and only stage yellow. We've only had 1 caution for cause, and otherwise been a very clean race so far today. Wetmore went around for a lazy 360. Luckily, did not make contact, but he made a hit with Jacob Fife, going to a double 360 spin down low. Wetmore still good. He got the stage point, so he's been able to recover. Otherwise, clean and green all throughout this event. Pit road going to get busy once more. Nito, Well, and Ross Cato. 1, 2, 3 on the way in, and 56 laps in. Drivers come down to pit road for the second pit stops of the night. Looks like everyone coming in. Nobody opting to stay out from the front of the field all the way down to the back in John Steele and Eric McFarland. Every driver who is on the track right now makes it in, and pit road is busy for your first full pit cycle of the night. Looks like it's going to be Ryan Farrell going right through our Guillermo Alvarez. Our apologies. Alvarez makes it in with a rapid pit stop of 21 flat seconds, so Guillermo gets back on the way. Sam Nito with the edge over Seth Well, then Ross Cato, Jacob Fife, Cody Smith, Nick Tarbuck, Caitlin Height, Tom Wetmore, and Jorge Canales to round out the top 10, with Stevenson 11th, Nicholas Ward 12th, Colin Gimmon 13th, and Eric McFarland in 14th, and Randy Fiash rounding out your top 15. 57 laps in, Alvarez gets on the move, rolls out quickly, and the Valvoline machine is up in front. The number 83 advantageous after our first stage of the day concludes. But Sam Nito is the man who gets it done and wins the stage here in Homestead-Miami. 57 laps in of 134. How's about we find out what's going on with your stage winner here from Homestead? Interview coming up momentarily with a man who got it done here in Miami for our first stage of the day. First of only 2, and that's our only stage caution of this event. As they come around this time by, it's only going to be a total now of, well, looks to be 2 laps to go on the stage, and we still got time to get your number 2 machine in, as Sam Nito will win the stage here from Homestead-Miami. Stage win in the books, even more bonus points, and the number 2 team is rocking and rolling. How do you feel here from Miami?
Feel pretty good. Love this track. Love being out front here.
It looks like so far doing a very good job of keeping it up in front. A nice battle to the end, but overall you had majority control of this first stage. So how do you feel about the rest of the race in mind, given how successful that first stage was for you?
I'll have to crunch some numbers here. I'm not very good at math, and it's even worse when I'm trying to race, try to figure out where I'm going to pit. But I'm going to try to keep these guys behind me. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'll give it the best shot I can.
I'm going to give it that best shot here. Of course, round of 8 in mind. This is second race of that round, and the championship 4 coming up so soon. How big would it be for this team to get this win here, as opposed to making it a make-or-break night in Martinsville?
It'd be pretty big. I'm not good at Martinsville. I think I told you that before. But, yeah, they just take some stress off of Martinsville.
Able to keep the stress off this number 2 crew. With that in mind, caution's going to end very soon, so any final thoughts for this team as they head for the rest of the race?
I just hope we can go green here, have a fun race.
Just like that, number 2 machine, Sam Nito, holds it out in front, winning the stage here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Now it's Sam on the move, keeping it brief. That number 2 machine will win your first stage of the day. Green and checkered falls for your first stage, your only stage break. And just like that, we'll get back on the way here with Nito up in front, Seth Well in second, and Ross Cato then in third. 59 laps in out of 134. The Kentucky Derby just began in the Highline Racing League Truck Series, and it's going to be, of course, River Page on the call there at the virtual Kentucky Speedway. FTN doubleheader Tuesday nights, always a thriller. It's the Octane Series, and then, of course, the Highline Racing League Culture Designs Truck Series going back-to-back on Tuesday nights. If you want to watch the both of them, pull up both tabs. FTN got you covered for your racing all night long. Bit of a more long-form series here in the Octane Series, some short fun racing in the Highline Racing League Truck Series, and all the types of racing you'd want to see, we've got you covered here only on FTN. And I'll tell you this much, Sam Nito's team has covered all bases so far tonight, leading almost every lap of the run so far, and now looking to get back in motion, leading again, 60 laps in of 134. Green flag flies once more for Sam Nito with a rocket ship start, leading the way in stage 2. And it goes to show how big of an advantage that is. Out of the first 2 corners, a rocket launch, as we mentioned. And just like that, Seth Mel has got to make up some time immediately after. Number 2 gets the thing rolling. And number 9 is soon to follow with Ross Cato and Cody Smith in the battle for the 3rd spot. Now as drivers get regrouped for the rest of the way, the Next Level Racing number 18 goes up top. Ross Cato is right down low, and you'll see Jacob Fife is also there too. Battle for the top 5 will consist of Fife, Cato, Nick Tarbuck, and even Tom Wetmore here. As drivers with trouble earlier now making up some time. Alan Rowell with some trouble. He'll fade back to the bottom of the charts, and Rowell is going to be spinning down low. Yellow flag not going to fly for the 43 machine, so this is the back of the field, but it looks like an incident, so we'll take an instant replay and find out just what happened to Alan Rowell and the number 43. And looking back right now, Rowell going to get loose off the final exit of turn 2, just getting it through to the bottom side, comes up the track, it spins down low, so luckily does not hit anyone else, but Rowell loses big time, and now going to be 19 seconds off of your leading drivers, and in jeopardy of being 1 lap down by the end of this cycle. Sam Nito leads the way now by 0.3 of a second. The High Rock Vodka Chevrolet, still piloted by Seth Well, is in second, and Cody Smith then going to be third to round out the podium with Ross Cato, then in 4th. Jacob Fife is 5th, and Nick Tarbuck is then in 6th, with Tom Wetmore 7th, and Caitlin Height then in 8th. Tell you this much, Colin Gidman now going to try to make some spots back up, and for Gidman, this season has been all about learning what it takes to execute on a week-by-week basis. Colin Gidman with some successful runs so far in the campaign. He's had a top 10, top 5 speed multiple weeks in a row, as a matter of fact, and whenever he comes out to race in his part-time schedule, he seems to be one of those quick drivers that just needs to get it done in the final laps. He's had had great short run pace in particular, and that's been the biggest strong suit for this team. But in the longer runs, when push comes to shove, few drivers have as much trouble as Gatlin seemed to have in these longer stints. Now, of course, all apparent, there might be other factors involving incidents and whatnot, but been a relatively clean end of the season here, so Goodman hoping to use that to his benefit right now in the 8th spot, getting by Caitlin Height. Height and Stevenson are still 9th and 10th here. Not good. It's better than being outside of the top 10, but they're still far away from the remainder of their competing drivers in the championship, and being that far behind is not good in the slightest here. Can't afford to lose any time, any extra position, and 65 laps in of 134. Sam Nito continuing to jump out to another nice lead. He's got himself up ahead with Seth Well then second, Ross Cato third, and Cody Smith fourth. Closest battle right now is going to be Fife and Nick Tarbuck, as Jacob Fife holds himself up high, keeps the number 36 machine on the top side as they go through turns 1 and 2. And Jacob Fife beginning to try that strategy of going up to the top for the grip strip. Now, you got to be really up to the high side to make that work. It's got to be perfection for the best results. Now, of course, Jacob Fife goes through adequately to make that back on the number 4 of Nick Tarbuck. But the thing is, you got to be up there, absolutely at the top. You might see through 3 and 4, it's a bit more visible, but there's a darker shaded portion of the track, and that is the grip strip. Get up there to that grip strip and have all that grip. It's in the name, and we've said it so many times that it just reiterates itself. You'll have much more control, much more speed, and you'll power down to the back straightaway like it's nothing. Now, Seth Well seems to be the best of which so far tonight of trying that grip strip strategy, and even though right now he's working the bottom side down low, he's going to be up there all night long. So if he needs to make some moves, he can, of course, switch it up, go up to the top side, and go for another move in his own way. 67 laps in of 134, and now coming up to lap number 68. The halfway marker is here and now, and only 67 laps left in the tour. It's going to be Sam Nito, Seth Well, Ross Cato. The tour here in Homestead-Miami has been fantastic so far. Only 2 cautions on the day, 1 for cause and 1 otherwise, and so far so good for your front runners as they break away once again. Battle for third going to be fierce now, as you'll see Ross Cato, Cody Smith both battling for the podium, and the fight for second is on as well. Up high, getting pinched. Ross Cato nearly going to get in the wall there, bounces off, loses some speed, and just like that, 69 laps in, some nice defensive work for Seth Well. Don't think Ross Cato's going to be happy though, as they're going to beat and bang out of the corner, not car to car, but car to wall. So that might happen to boil over as the race continues here. Already some troubles brewing, nothing major, and of course they'll still keep fighting, but Ross Cato have to fight a bit harder here, nearly losing some of that speed and gaining some of that damage. He'll go up top though to get that speed on the high side. Momentum is going to favor the number 12 at the line. It looks like barely Ross Cato's got the edge now, and he'll keep it in the turns 1 and 2 up top with your leader in Sam Nito still up ahead. Your podium as it stands, the number 2 machine of Sam Nito. Second place going to be a joust between Ross Cato and Seth Well, and 4th place right now, 70 laps in, held by your defending winner of Cody Smith. And for Next Level Racing, a fantastic partner of the Integrity Racing League for high quality sim racing performance products by dedicated sim racers for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com for more information as the Integrity Racing League winds down for 2023. Their season-long championships are just weeks away from being delivered to all the championships, not only the Octane Series, but the Ignite Series as well. So keep your eyes out for the final few races of the Octane Series. Our championship here on Tuesday nights ends October 24th, and our championship on Monday nights ends in mid-November. So 2 championship dates to keep an eye out for, and one incredible partner of our championships this season, Next Level Racing, providing the official championship prize for the Integrity Racing League. We'll be right back after a brief promotional message from our friends here at nextlevelracing.com. Check them out at nextlevelracing.com. And as we come back now, it's 61 laps remaining. The battle for lead hits up, and Ross Cato now finds himself in the second spot, alone in the catbird seat. 61 laps left here in the Racing for Breast Cancer 200, and the Integrity Octane Series finds itself in the second race of the round of 8. It's now final charge here for all the drivers still eligible, and for those tuning in for the first time tonight, championship drivers who are still eligible for the title are marked in blue on our timing and scoring system. The top ticker and driver information lets you know if they're in blue, they're still fighting for the championship. However, in contrast, if they're in red, then they are not eligible for the title, and they have been either eliminated or did not qualify for the original round of the Integrity Octane Series playoffs. So that's the way it goes. Red means they're out, blue means they're still in the fight. So we've only got 8 drivers still remaining, a very small cast of characters who hope to keep on fighting for the championship. And right now, all of those who are up in front of the field, save for 2 drivers in your top 10, and that's going to be Cody Smith and Colin Gidman. They're all championship eligible. 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th. Then you'll also see 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So Gidman in 7th and Cody Smith in 3rd are your only 2 spoilers. Rest of the top 10 are championship eligible drivers, and they've been the best so far all throughout the night, all throughout the season, and they're still here with a good reason. Of course, if you're this good up in front every night, no reason not to be in the penultimate round of the playoffs here. A 1-round finale. Of course, it's going to be at the Phoenix Raceway, and that ends our season. Otherwise, multi-race rounds, as it's the round of 8. We will decide our final 4 based on the results of tonight, last week in Kentucky, and the round of 8 ends at Martinsville with a 200-lap spectacle to finish everything off. So keep your eyes peeled for another fantastic round of 8 event. Been a great round so far, a thrilling round of 12-2, the walk-off win at Talladega, dominance at the Roval. So with all that being said, I wouldn't expect anything less of the rest of the season, even if we have only 2 more races to go after this one, which is unbelievable to think about. 28 races in out of 30 right now. Then we head on to round number 29. It's still not over yet. The fighting continues further on back, though. You're also going to see Caitlin Height's going to be in the mix of it. Don Stevenson right there, too, side by side. Just ahead of these guys, you'll also see Patton is going to be with the number 51 of Tom Wetmore. Wetmore's going to be scored right now in 8th. Not where he'd like to be, but Wetmore's still going to be ahead of Stevenson and Caitlin Height, recent winners. So not a bad place to be in after all. Caitlin Height and Don Stevenson, your most recent 2 playoff winners. Cody Smith, who of course got it done most recently, was not part of the round of 8, could not make it through, so as a result, a playoff spoiler came home with a victory last week, and now it's wide open once again. Nobody effectively locking into your final 4 last week. Tonight that could happen, and with a victory here for Sam Nito, who's been in control all throughout the day, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets it done. That's how good this team has been in dominating this event all nights long. To this point, they've been the class of the field, and I don't think that's going to change here with 55 laps to go. Still, Ross Cato right there, and tire wear has not been major. That time by, it was a 33.797 for Sam Nito. His best lap is a 33.245, so only spread of half a second right now, and we're still inside the 33-second bracket. Now, when they get outside that 33 range, into the 34s, and if there's really trouble inside the 35s, because some drivers are getting close to the 35s already, that's when you know it might be time to come down to pit road and make that 1 green flag stop on the day. We have yet to see any green flag pit stops so far. We've had a race broken up by 2 cautions in the first stage, 1 for cause, 1 mandatory this year. However, otherwise, it's been green flag racing all throughout, so we do expect to see some more drivers coming down to pit road by necessity as the race goes on. Sam Nito is going to be ahead of Ross Cato, Seth Noel, and Nick Tarbuck is going to be there too. Cody Smith is going to be in 5th up top. Jacob Fife now going to find himself in position number 5, taking it from Cody, and Smith having some trouble here. The playoff drivers are on a rampage and making it by driver after driver again, and the 36 machine from Pro Powder and Peyton makes the move down low. Once more, Cody Smith going to be put up the high side, losing positions as they come across the start-finish line yet again. It's going to be a joust at the line, advantage Jacob Fife and Colin Gidman in the mix too. Don't count out Colin Gidman as he comes up with a head full of steam. Just can't find anywhere to pick himself, so he'll stay right behind Jacob Fife here, side by side between him and Cody Smith. Jacob Fife sees the pressure, not one but two drivers, and take a look off the rear view perspective here of that number 36 and see how much it takes to manage both drivers in two different lanes. Now, and of course, it would be one thing if Jacob Fife had to manage drivers who are fighting on the exact same lane, but right now the high side and the low side both being used to try to take a spot away from this number 36. So for Jacob Fife, he's got to worry about not only if these drivers can make that move in, but also about where he should go correctly at those right times. Now he's going to be in the offense here, take a spot away from Seth Noel, only to get crossed right back over, and the number 9 machine drops down to the bottom side, takes that immediately high-speed maneuver, and just like that, the 9's going to be back inside the 4th spot. Jacob Fife way down low, looks for it, can't get much of it, and it's going to be side by side, 50 laps to go. They keep on fighting here as we come down to the home stretch of this race. Sam Nito, Ross Cato still first and second, and Ross Cato needs to break through tonight. If there's any chance for him to get a victory before Phoenix, this might be the best of which. Now, Martinsville is a very closed track, not a lot of variation in track times, lap times, but it's a risky track to drive at because you can bump, you can run. It's a short track, so there's not a lot of room, and you can't afford to put all of your fate in that track. It's Martinsville. Anything can happen. It's a very chaotic circuit. The paperclip is not too trustworthy. So a track that might be a bit more trustworthy is here and now in, of course, Homestead. Mile and a half, they're dependable. There's very much a formulaic structure to how you race them, and while Homestead is very different to most others, if you understand Homestead well, you should be good to go all night long, but maybe no longer, as you'll see Seth Noel is now going to get in the mix. Seth goes way down low, finds himself fighting for second. Number 9 machine going to be side by side at the line there. Number 4 machine and Nick Tarbuck is going to be right there too. 9 machine drops it down to the bottom side, keeps it side by side indeed. High Rock Vodka's Chevy Camaro keeps it side by side for second, and right now it's going to be the Fast Forward Esports crew with Ross Cato in mind, trying to keep that second position. 48 laps remaining. Seth Noel, who's at this point the most successful driver in the playoffs, looking to lock himself in with a final 4 spot. He comes in with a major points buffer. His consistency has been unmatched, and right now he's been going to tracks where he's been strong week after week after week. Doesn't matter if it's a super speedway, a road course, a mile and a half track. Seth is most often strong at every single type, and right now with 47 laps to go for this number 9 crew, they look to be set to fight for the final 4 no matter what happens at Martinsville. However, they got to seal that deal first, so it's not over just yet. If there's a disaster later in the going here in Homestead, it could change once again, and Sam Neill, of course, still holds the keys to this race, leading once again at the line. He's led the most laps today by an astounding margin. He's led over 70 so far and is looking to lead the rest of the way. Checkered flag following a lap 134 unless there's an overtime finish as a necessity, but so far with clean racing all throughout, we don't expect to see anything of the like. 46 laps to go. Leading man of Sam Nito occupies the top spot as he's done all night long, and Seth Noel now goes up to the top side trying to make something happen, but still nothing there. Out the corner, momentum going to go to the favor of Seth Noel, but nothing major, so he'll have to try once again through turns 1 and 2, working up high, and as we mentioned, if he needs to be aggressive, he's got that grip strip up there, and nobody else knows how to run up top better than the High Rock Vodka team and Seth Noel. He's been able to take risks with his racing line all season long, find those advantages, find the little intricacies of iRacing and sim racing as a whole, and make sure he knows what's best. And just like that, taking it down to the bottom side, new man on top, it's going to be Seth Noel, and at the line, he's got the minor advantage, just enough to lead 90 laps in out of 134. And even if these differences are minor, that's a huge amount of time to gain in just one set of corners. 10th and a half already up for the number 9 crew. So Sethwell gains that time. Sam Nito now going to fade back further. And after a hard-fought night of defense, number 2 machine might become to start falling apart, but of course you can't give in just yet. One position being lost does not mean all hope is lost either, and we saw these two battle before. The advantage came through for Sam Nito as drivers come down to pit road. Green flag cycle on the way. First competitive pit stop of the day. Brad Patton down low, and green flag pit stops are officially on the move. Patton is in, and he's going to set the trend. New opportunity. Pit road's going to get open, and it's going to get very, very busy. Now the difference is going to be between those who undercut and those who stay out long. Now Sam Nito's going to try to think different here. He just got passed for the lead. First time under green, anyone's been able to pull a gap from him all night long, and he knows that this has been such a great race for him already. Why give it away on some strategy going awry? So he's going to try to think a bit differently outside the box compared to that of Seth Noel. Seth right now has that advantage that nobody else has, and that's clean air, track position, and getting that lead is a full amount of momentum, enough to carry a driver all the way. But now you got to find out what the weakness is to his strategy, knowing he's got to come down to pit road eventually, as does everyone else. Brad Patton makes the first dive in. Rest of the field opts not to, and right now Patton is one lap down, but another man comes in Galen Gidman. Galen is coming through, and another driver comes in. Second driver of the day under green. Galen Gidman down to pit road with 41 laps remaining. Jacob Fife now going to be a lap machine being put one down. Matter of fact, that's Jim Fife, number 63. So Jim Fife could end up on the high side here in the Triple P Pro Powder and Paint machine. His son Jacob is going to be coming by very soon. So the Pro Powder and Paint duo will be side by side, maybe by the end of the next lap. 40 laps to go though. This time by, it's going to be Seth Well leading over Sam Nito. Nick Tarbuck is going to be in third. Caitlin Height is fourth. Jacob Fife is now in fifth. And Ross Cato in sixth, with Tom Wetmore seventh, Don Stevenson eighth, Cody Smith in ninth, and Guillermo Alvarez 5 seconds further back than in 10th. But for that number 18 machine of Cody Smith, Next Level Racing provides high quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Since 2009, Next Level Racing has had all sim racers covered with top of the line quality sim racing hardware. No matter your budget, no matter what you need, Next Level Racing is the place to go for all of your sim racing equipment. Visit nextlevelracing.com for more information after tonight's broadcast, as we are going to send it to our second promotional break of the day with 39 laps to go. And with 38 laps remaining as it stands, Cody Smith going to come down to pit road this time by and continue an especially active pit cycle. 18 machine going to work down to the bottom side, and just like that, another driver comes in for what is supposed to be the first and only green flag pit cycle of the day. 98 laps in of 134, Sam Nito finds himself out in front and leads over Caitlin Height now in second. Nick Tarbuck is going to be third, Ross Cato in fourth, and Jacob Fife in fifth. Smith, Wetmore, and Seth Noel all come in early, so undercut going to be in play for these drivers. A lot of other drivers, though, opt to stay out much longer. Wetmore gets the edge, though, over the number 9 machine, and looks like Tom Wetmore with a fantastic pit stop. 33 seconds for Wetmore, so he's going to try something different here, as opposed to Seth Noel running a 38-second stop. Brad Patton, 38.4 in his own right, and Wetmore makes major gains just like that. He might be the best man to go through all the way. With such a difference in his pit stop, he's got about 5 seconds advantageous through and through. New man on top of those who have taken pit stops, and that is Wetmore. Ross Cato comes in this time by. Not to mention, you'll see Nick Tarbuck and Caitlin Height. Caitlin Height's going to get on the move. Nick Tarbuck does now too. And it looks like Ross Cato is not going to get going immediately, as he has substantial right side damage that has accumulated over the course of this race. So he's still on pit road, and Cato's got big trouble as he remains on pit road. 42 laps into his stint, the number 83 machine leads the way. Number 12, though, Cato has trouble, and with 35 laps to go, new man out in front. It is going to be the 83 machine, Guillermo Alvarez up ahead of the field. Eric McFarland going to be there in second. Randy Fiash going to be third, and Sam Nito now going to be fourth, with Tom Wetmore now position number 4 is Brad Patton going to get right behind another driver cycling in. You'll see now Sam Nito gets on the way, and the pit cycle a huge shift off because it gives Tom Wetmore the advantage that we did not expect him to have at all, and it's a shocker for sure, and he's trying to prove that he is not done with his victory so far this season. Coming home with 5, looking for 6. Tom Wetmore in the mix once again, and he's got the checkered flag in his sights as drivers continue to come down. Fiash to pit road this time by, now only waiting on Eric McFarland and Guillermo Alvarez to come down to pit road and finish off our green flag cycle here in the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And with such a shift in the racing, of course, this pit stop, we were expecting some differences, but Tom Wetmore is playing a huge different game, and right now he's got an advantage of about a half second's worth over Brad Patton. Now, the thing is, Patton is quick, and he's right now making time lap after lap, several tenths of a second each time by, so Wetmore's gamble, while it saves him some time and gets him up to the front of the field, the big gamble for him is to try to get some laps led, and right now with Alvarez and McFarland staying out in front, you can't really get much of that if there's drivers still ahead of you on that lead lap. So even though Alvarez and McFarland have not yet come down to pit road, they're affecting the race strategy here as Wetmore's gamble to lead laps might not be coming into fruition here because Brad Patton is flying up to the back bumper of the 51 at the line this time. They're both in frame, and with 32 laps to go here, Patton continues to make time and now finds himself in the back bumper of Wetmore as the leaders come through once again. Leading man of Guillermo Alvarez at the line chooses not to come down to pit road. 31 laps remaining for Guillermo Alvarez and company, his only company being Eric McFarland, who's now only 5 seconds ahead of Tom Wetmore. Wetmore still making that up, and he's losing several tenths of a second each and every lap. While he is much slower lap after lap here, it still doesn't mean it's over for sure, because Brad Patton now slowly but surely wearing his stuff out, and Patton's on a 12-lap-old stint, so the game plan for Tom Wetmore might be to take it a bit easier on this run and get going later. As you can see right now, even though Patton has been able to claw up to him, it might not be a done deal because Wetmore is getting into his better form for the rest of the race here. His best lap is a 33.318, so by no means is he a slow driver today, but he's pulling off a strategic gamble to give him an even better chance at the win. Alvarez down to pit road, this time by, and it looks like so will it be. Eric McFarland leading the way, the number 33 on top of the board, and Tom Wetmore right there too. Wetmore now going to see Brad Patton is going to be passed by Seth Noel, and Seth is going to find himself now inside of the second spot when all gets cycled, if he can get by Brad, and maybe he'll have a chance to get by Tom Wetmore at the same time. Tube Tech number 51 right down low yet again, tries to go for it. It looks like Brad Patton tries to keep it up high. Nothing much, and he's going to keep it on that second groove, and just like that, there'll be 3 wide at the line, advantage barely Tom Wetmore, and just like that, they're 3 wide at the stripe for the effective race lead, and right now, while they might not be leading, they're certainly fighting each other like it's for the top position either way. Wetmore going to get down to the back bumper of Seth Noel. Seth blink once, doesn't blink twice, and he'll keep on going despite some minor hiccups in his signal. McFarland sees this in his rearview mirror. Brad Patton, new race leader, and Patton looking to be the playoff spoiler that gets it done. McFarland with trouble down a pit road. Is it going to be truly trouble? Luckily not. Eric McFarland locks it down, but it looked like he nearly went around spinning under his pit cycle, and it looks like he concludes the pit cycle coming in 49 laps into his run. Just like that, Eric McFarland, a done day for him on that long run. Now, just like that, 28 laps to go, all down to your leading drivers. as the rest of the race is in their hands. Three-car group, Wetmore goes down low once again at 28 laps to go. Tom Wetmore's the leading driver here at 108 laps into the day, 27 laps to go. Huge run for Wetmore to get back in front. Brad Patton's now going to be second, and Seth Noel is going to be third. Colin Gibman is fourth. Caitlin Hyde is fifth. Nick Tarbuck is sixth, and Sam Nito is then in seventh. Cody Smith going to be eighth, and Don Stevenson then is in ninth. Only two retirees today, and Jacob Fife and Alan Dobbs. The rest of your field is still going, and with time still to spare in this one, it's Tom Wetmore now with the big advantage, looking for win number 6 on the day, from the only caution for cause to leading now with less than 25 laps left. In just a few moments' time, Wetmore advantageous at lap 109. And as always here, lap 109 presented to you on FTN by Tango Paints, the official graphic design partner and supplier of the Fireball Talks NASCAR YouTube channel. For all your iRacing, sim racing, paint schemes, and livery needs, check out Tango Paints on Twitter for offers you can't miss at prices you can't resist. $50 for starting offers. Check out Tango Paints on Twitter today, and we'll play a brief promotional message to find out a bit more about Tango Paints. Check it out here, courtesy of our friends at Tango Paints and Tol Owen on Twitter. And a hard-fought battle for the lead continues here. Wetmore and Seth Noel, not to mention Brad Patton, 3 wide once again. And just like that, lap 109 is over. On now to the conclusion of 110 and up to lap 111. These three drivers are giving each other hell up in front, and it's been fantastic. All three of which dead even on pace, lap after lap. Tom Wetmore finds himself up high. Seth Noel is going to be right down low. And with 24 laps remaining here, these drivers continue to fight each other for the top position. Wetmore with a gigantic gamble had that race lead. Patton gets loose. All of a sudden, the 51 works down low, and we've seen these two have fantastic battles before. They're going at it once again with higher stakes than ever. A chance to clinch a position inside the final 4. Tom Wetmore wants it. You know, Seth Noel does too. And with 23 laps to go, how else to bring you this fantastic battling with the best cameras on the iRacing platform? With 22 laps to go, TrackCams22.com will bring you all the excitement of this battle for the lead with a crank it up, uninterrupted style for the next few laps. 22 laps to go this time by courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. Let's crank it up with 22 laps remaining. And now with 17 laps remain, the advantage becoming even clearer up ahead. Leaders have changed. It is now Seth Noel up ahead of Caitlin Height, Nick Tarbuck, and Sam Nito, with Tom Wetmore's gamble beginning to fade away into the distance. Number 9 machine goes by John Steele clearly, and just like that, another driver charging up in front. Caitlin Height goes down low, looking for another clutch victory. The number 11 is now in the perfect opportunity to go for another great victory here. When the chips are stacked against this number 11 crew, they come back into life, and even though they struggled early, Caitlin Height has pulled herself through and now is right there on the back bumper of the number 9 team that so valiantly clawed through to get the lead again. Now it might be taken away. John Steele down to pit road, this time by no major trouble. Rest of the field keeps on going. 15 laps to go though, and now the final dash just ahead of us. This is what it all comes down to. Seth Noel, leading driver, Caitlin Height then in second, and now they're separate by only 1/10 of a second down the back straightaway, and it looks like now the number 11 is faster. We'll see how much longer that lasts. A huge charge up. And now, Seth back to defense here. Nick Tarbuck is, of course, going to be there in third. Sam Nito is going to be fourth right now. And Colin Gibman inside the top 5. So executing very well on this run. As we mentioned, cleaner races suit this number 04 much better. If you get away from all the trouble, there's a long run speed that we haven't seen all too much of so far in Gidman. But when it comes out, it's there to stay. So great run so far for Colin Gibman and that crew. As Seth Noel continues to hold off for your race lead. It is now 14 laps remaining, a quarter of a second between your top 2 drivers, first and second, both going for a final 4 slots. And for Seth Noel, it's a no-brainer. This number 9 machine is looking to go to the final 4 after such a fantastic regular season. No reason not to chase that opportunity for a championship. For Caitlin Height, also one of the drivers who's pulled it off with multiple wins in a different way. Clutch when it counts. Won multiple races to make it in the playoffs, even though she did not make most starts. Just able to make it in with a minimum participation requirement. Missed the first race of the round of 12. Won at Talladega. Third place at the Roval. And now, after a not so impressive run at Kentucky, second place here in Homestead with a dozen laps remaining, and coming back up on the back bumper of your leader here, knowing this could be the final opportunity to make it into the final 4 and lock in a chance at a championship at the Phoenix Raceway in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks separate this number 11 machine from a potential championship, and she knows it. Just gotta get by for one more position now, and that might be make or break for the championship chance. As the night comes to a close here in Homestead, it could be the difference between a champion being made in this number 11 or a champion being made in the number 9. Even if this is not the race that is the championship decider directly, this will have a major influence with 11 laps to go. There's a spin. Tom Wetmore, the yellow flag flies. Second spin for Tom Wetmore. A last 10-lap dash will settle this one, and Wetmore spins to bring out the second caution for cause of the day. And Tom Wetmore will spin. Looks like the second time he's gone around, this time with Cody Smith right there beside him. Let's find out what happens here as the instant replay will show you the cause. Wetmore loose, coming through turn 4, and he's going to go right around ahead of Don Stevenson. Brad Patton nearly loses it too, and once again, Wetmore going to get it back going after a 360. Caution flies, nearly hitting Stevenson and almost getting a piece of Brad Patton. Yellow flag is out once again. 10 laps to go. Yellow flag is out. We've got ourselves a little bit of time before the racing gets back on its way here. We're expecting a pit cycle for drivers who have saved a tire set. We might just see them make that gamble work once again. Wetmore was one of those who stayed out, and Guillermo Alvarez, they made the call to save one extra tire set. Maybe that's the make or break call. The yellow flag is fallen. Wetmore spins. He'll have to go to the back of the field, but if new tires are most important, maybe it's a possibility. Still an extra set for that number 51 team. Pit road will become busy this time by the call down the pit road. Looks to take Caitlin Height, looks to take Colin Gidman, and Don Stevenson there too. Half and half. The field is split, and drivers opt to either stay or go, depending on how many tire sets they have left. Seth Noel has no choice but to stay up at the top of the track, and with 9 laps to go, we'll bring you back after a brief promotional break, not only brought to you by iRacing Motorsport Simulations, but also brought to you by Next Level Racing. Once again, high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who want nothing but the best. Be sure to visit nextlevelracing.com for more information about sim racing's leading hardware manufacturer. Nextlevelracing.com has you covered since 2009. Once again, this is your final promotional break courtesy of nextlevelracing.com and iRacing Motorsport Simulations.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Waiting off of pit road, Caitlin Height will beat out Colin Gidman, Don Stevenson, Todd Wetmore, Nicholas Ward, Guillermo Alvarez, and Randy Fiash. Eric McFarland, John Steele just went down to pit road. So pit road gets busy. Some drivers opt to stay out, and it looks like up to 6th place. You'll see drivers going to stay out. So it looks like now the majority of your field came down to pit road for an extra stop. The rest of your guys who had to stay out, well, of course, no difference. Looks like they figure to stay out just like that. 7 laps to go. So no major difference in that regard. Some track positions shuffled up, and now Sam Nito and Seth Noel will battle for it once again. And you might notice right now the number 9 machine takes the high side to get that momentum going. There might be a reason. Right now, Seth has an older tire set than Sam Nito's by 2 laps. Now, that is not a major difference overall, but when you come down to the final laps, when you come down to pushing as hard as you can, every lap, every advantage, it all matters that much more. It's becoming a much bigger factor. Even if that's not a major amount of laps being burned, if you tread the tires just a little too much in one certain way, or if you keep going at them more and more, they'll get much harder to drive with. And with 6 green flag laps to finish off this one, it's going to be all about who has anything left in store for whoever is in the lead. Right now, Sam Nito is going to start second as Seth Noel. He's got something in store, the newest tires of anyone who stayed out on the track. But be warned, the most drivers in the field have a new set on them, and the Goodyear rubber will be flying as they come through this time by. 6 laps to go for Miami, back underway, and just like that, Noel gets a rocket launch over the rest of the field. And it's all that Seth Noel is going to need with a beat and a bang back of the field. Don Stevenson spins, so does Caitlin Height. Yellow flag is due to fall, and that it does. We're heading to overtime. Don Stevenson goes around spinning, cautions out, and we're going to go into a green-white checkered extended finish to wrap this one off here from Homestead. So the yellow flag is out. Caitlin Height gonna spin immediately after we get things going. Backstretch battling. Don Stevenson is involved, and the yellow flag is out. Caitlin Height gonna disconnect immediately after, and it looks like Caitlin's gonna get loose. Bobble up top, drop down low, take Stevenson with her, and luckily Don's not going to get hit by anything else. Could have been much worse for him. Caitlin Height opts to disconnect, so only some brake and tire smoke there as Don gets it going. No major damage overall, and he'll keep it through with 5 laps remaining. So Don Stevenson keeps it going. Caitlin Height disconnects entirely, and the yellow flag falls. Now, I think that's going to solidify these old tires were the move, but Colin Gibbon already making some moves through. He's going to be in 6th right now, the leader of any driver on a new set. So Colin Gibbon, he's the man who makes the big moves and now finds himself taking advantage. 5 laps to go this time by, and now we're questioning whether or not we'll get an official green-white checkered or an overtime finish. So the question is, will lap 134 be the final distance, or will it be changed? Right now, it might not be the official distance based on what we're seeing. Timing and scoring showing us we got about 3 laps to go under pacing. That would lead us to 134. So by all intents and purposes, unless we get a shortened caution, we're expecting to see a 1-lap race extension to lap 135. So 135 laps of racing, just over 200 miles of action. It's going to be slightly over our scheduled distance tonight in Homestead-Miami Speedway, and the Racing for Breast Cancer 200 keep things going here in Miami. As we've seen all October long, dedicating this month to breast cancer. Not a lot of drivers showing up with the pink machines this time around, but as we saw earlier in this month, many drivers donning the pink on their cars. Don Stevenson, as always though, representing the cause, and he finds himself inside the 12th position. Stevenson, who's been fantastic as of recent, getting that win at the Roval when it was needed most, struggling a bit more today in Homestead, and we saw him running a bit further up until getting tagged by Caitlin Height, and now he'll have to do it all over again if there's any chance at a race victory. Don Stevenson looking to get a bit more out of it as he finds himself starting in the 12th position. This time by, drivers come down to pit road. The yellow flag is still out, which means we should be getting the official signal for a green-white checkered sometime soon. Now, it should be coming next time by, if anything here. 3 laps to go, and it's going to keep looping 3 laps to go until we go green, unless the admins call to make it a shortened caution, which is not expected to happen. We should be heading into another overtime attempt here in the Octane Series. A very clean race overall. 3 caution for cause, 2 of which coming within the last 10 laps of this one. And now we'll go back at it once again to settle the show here in Homestead. Seth Noel leads from Sam Nito second. Nick Tarbuck is going to be third, and it's going to be Cody Smith then in fourth. Fifth is going to be occupied by Brad Patton. Colin Gibbon is 6th, Jorge Canales is 7th, and it's going to be Guillermo Alvarez then in 8th. Further on back, Tom Wetmore is going to be in 9th, it's going to be Nicholas Ward in 10th, and Randy Fiash in 11th, with Don Stevenson 12th, and Eric McFarland then in 13th. That's the way everyone lines up so far. If those are your lead lap, then you'll see John Steele, who's 5 laps down and still racing. Alan Rawell with damage, he's 11 laps down, and Ross Cato is 13 laps down. After coming down to pit road, you saw him with about 20-odd laps to go, coming down and staying there for an extended period. That's why. And just like that, 13 laps down for the man in 17th, and unless he gets a fantastic race out of Martinsville, that might be all said and done for Ross Cato's championship chances as they come around this time by 1 lap extension. We are set for an overtime finish, and as we always do, let's run through our FTN overtime procedure to tell you what's going on here on the channel. iRacing has an overtime procedure that's as uniform as it gets. White flag means the race keeps on going until the checkered. So we get to lap 135 on this run without another caution, then we go to the checkered flag without any issues. Make it to that white flag, and the race will end the next lap no matter what happens. Checkers, wreckers, does not matter at all. However, if we get a yellow flag, we have up to 2 more attempts to extend the race even further if absolutely necessary. If we make it to that final attempt at the 3rd and final of extensions and we still have to go further, race ends no matter what under caution. Now we have a chance to get a green flag finish despite all the troubles we've had, and this will be lap 134, but it won't be the final lap. It's just going to be the first of our overtime system. Coming through this time by, the iRacing official pace car will drop him Down low, the pace car goes, and it will let Seth Noel and Sam Nito do the rest. Round of 8 might come down to a race like this in Homestead-Miami. The green flag will drop with the first overtime attempt of the day. Green flag's out for Seth, and the rest of the field gets it going through 1 and 2. And Cody Smith can get loose that time by, saves it, and he's going to go up into Nicholas Ward. Everyone's dicey up and down the order, but it's still going to be all calm up in front. Colin Gidman going to be fighting for third here with Nick Tarbuck. Seth Noel, though, has that lead, and Sam Nito now going to be second. 1-2 between the drivers who have dominated this race, and at the white flag, they'll keep it green. 1 lap to go. Final lap will all come down to the number 9 machine and the number 2. Seth Noel has that lead. Sam Nito goes up top to charge up a run, tries to get something going on the high side, and tries to use that momentum to make a lunge into 3 and 4. That won't be forgotten. Seth Noel going through the final 2 turns has that advantage, tries to keep it ahead. He'll have himself down low, and he'll be deep enough through the turns 3 and 4 to clearly make it around for the checkered flag. Once again, the High Rock Vodka machine sees a victory lane, and Seth Noel wins from Homestead-Miami. Round of 8, checkered flag, and the number 9 is set to go championship racing in Phoenix. And that might just be the final 4-spot clincher for the number 9 team that they needed desperately. And now the pressure is going to be off for Martinsville. By all intents and purposes, the focus is the title. Seth Noel back in victory lane, and it was a clean fight between he and Sam Nito, and Sam makes a bit of a bobble going into the turns 1 and 2 on the final lap, which gives Seth Noel the shot he needs to win over Sam Nito second, Guillermo Alvarez in third, and Nicholas Ward then in fourth. Colin Gidman rounds out the top 5 with Don Stevenson then 6th. Brad Patton is going to be in 7th, and Cody Smith then in 8th with Tom Wetmore position number 9. Randy Fiash rounds out your top 10, and then from there we're going to be Jorge Canales 11th, Eric McFarland 8th. Nick Tarbuck is going to be then in 13th, as McFarland's going to be recalculated to 12th position. John Steele's 14th with Caitlin Heighton 15th, and Ross Cato 16th, as it's Alan Rawell 17th. Then Jim Fife 18th, Jacob Fife 19th, and to round out your 20-car field, Alan Dobbs 133 laps down, your final driver in this event. 20 drivers registered, and only 1 driver will get to burn it down as Seth Noel comes to the start-finish line to celebrate the checkered flag in the Racing for Breast Cancer 200. And as they come through this time by for the final time, as most drivers take it down to pit road, the number 9 parks it on the start-finish line. And the checkered flag in this round of 8 means so much more than any other night. And we've seen oval troubles for this crew, but tonight it looks like the oval bug is once again scared away. The number 9 for High Rock Vodka comes home, victory lane in Homestead. Checkered flag is yours, Seth Noel. How do you feel after tonight?
Feel good. The monkey, it's gone. It's out of here. Perfect time to get the monkey off her back. Finally get an oval win. Put herself in the final 4. Not gonna lie, I was kind of screaming again, with the pen to go yellow, but worked out. We were able to hold on with the old tires and finish off the job.
Able to finish off with the strategy call there. It looks like it was, of course, some drivers coming down a pit road late in the going with some chaos there. It looks like you might have not had enough to go for another pit cycle on tires, but it worked out. Cautions helped you to get to that final overtime finish, and you outdueled the rest of the field to come home with this win. So what's it like to, of course, manage the strategy? A lot of long run racing, only to come down to a very short dash at the end.
I don't know. Just a lot of tire saving early. The stage right there, 20 laps to go, I think, in the stage, we had that yellow, and then once we get that yellow, it's stage points or hoping for a yellow late like we had, and thankfully we ended up having a double yellow late enough that staying out was worth it, so going for the stage points didn't hurt us, but that's just how the cookie crumbled tonight.
And even despite the stage race not going your way, the overall race is yours. So a big point of contention getting this win here at Homestead. And either way, Martinsville, it's up next. And I believe, given the point situation for you, you've effectively locked your way in to Phoenix. So looking very safe to go for a championship in our finale. And Martinsville coming up next. You got a little bit more time to prepare for the title. So how do you feel with the penultimate round right ahead of us?
I mean, I love Martinsville, so hopefully we can go out there and have some fun next week. Try not to make anyone mad and piss anyone off, but set ourselves up for a couple weeks to try and go for Phoenix and try and finish off I don't know how many exact races there was, 30-something races this season, and end it all in Phoenix.
And 30 flat races on the schedule, coming through with race number 28. Seth Well, the number 9 crew, come back to victory lane when it matters the most in Miami. Any final thoughts to wrap up this race?
Shout out the boys hosting the legal season. I know it's a lot of time to do. Appreciate your time, David, as well, coming out here every week, bringing a broadcast out for us. Appreciate the Nexus boys. I ran Cosman's Splash and Go variants of the High Rock scheme tonight. Shout out to Cosman. And that's about it.
And there we have it. The number 9 crew comes home on top. Victory lane here in the Racing for Breast Cancer 200 Homestead-Miami. Seth Wells with a win here in the round of 8. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate it, David.
But Seth on the move, second place man, going to be up next on the way. Sam Nito, second place here in that number 2. And how about that for the 2 crew? Getting it done, runner-up finish. It's Sam Nito, second place on today. We'll get him in right now. Runner-up and a fierce battle. Bonus points with the stage, leading the most laps on today. Overall successful night, just a few tenths short of the checkered flag. How do you feel tonight?
Basically how I end all these races.
Of course, come back after a very short run, a lot of long run racing, short change at the end. So with that difference, certainly throwing a lot of these guys off and strategy calls to keep it out worked out for you in the podium. So how was it managing the older tires with so many new tire drivers coming right back at you?
Well, we didn't really have a choice. Seth and I and a couple guys behind us, we were out of tires. We sacrificed the set to get stage points in that first stage on that when we had our first caution there. But it takes the tires about new tires on the first lap are lethal. So I mean that's one throwaway lap right there, and then it takes 2 or 3 laps to equal out before they even actually start to get faster. So once we had that first caution at the end of the race, and then we had the green-white checker, I figured we'd be okay. Seth and I and a couple of us up front, I didn't think that they would be able to get to us. So I mean, it wasn't too worrisome holding them off. But if we didn't have that last green-white checker, I think they would have probably got us pretty easily.
Green-white checker in that case, playing into your favor here in an overall very successful night with so little time remaining in the season. This is one of those races this team needs to keep going into the Final Four. Martinsville is the topic up next, of course, the paperclip, a very risky track, and with all intents and purposes, great race overall, even if it's not a win. A lot of bonus points on the table here, and Martinsville going to be a bit easier of a night. So what's it going to be for you to keep on going with that, looking forward to the rest of the season?
Just low car count's going to keep me pretty safe, I think. Like I said before, Martinsville's not my best track, but I've got a pretty good last week or two in the playoffs, so I should be up near the front. So I think, actually, I don't know with the playoff. I have to look at the points. I don't know. But with low car count, I'm not going to be running 30th. So it's going to be tough for people behind me to make up enough points. So I think I'll be okay.
Solid position to go even further in the championship running this season. Sam Nito, another top 2 finish on the tour. Homestead, 2nd place. Anything else to wrap off this event?
Thank you for putting on the broadcast. Thanks, Jacob, with the league. It was a good race tonight. Wish we could have ran that rest of the race on the green there, but we had some cautions and they bred cautions, and we had a sprint to the finish.
And a sprint to the finish brings the number 2 crew back to the podium here. Sam Nito, 2nd at Homestead. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
And with Sam on the move, one more driver today, and Guillermo Alvarez, the 83, the top podium spoiler. Of course, playoff spoiler, 83 crew, 3rd place, and keeps the podiums alive this season. The Valvoline machine, 3rd place. How do you feeling?
Lucky. Was just lucky. Extremely lucky. Just those late cautions helped us, and we kind of snuck into there after Katie spun. I think she had it won, but crap happens. So we snuck by and stole a 3rd place.
Looks like it's going to all fall into your favor here with that strategic call of all the drivers who took tires. You're the one with the highest position. New tires made it up to 3rd. So with that in mind, you're the best of those who took that risk, and it looks like it paid off better than anyone else.
Yeah, it all started with the first version. I think was around lap 33. So I was just trying to have a laugh with how crappy I was running and just stayed out, and hopefully that extra set was going to play off. And it did kind of work in the end. All those accidents in the end and not wasting a set helped us to get a decent finish.
And it looks like not wasting the set, as you mentioned. Tires meaning a lot tonight. A lot of green flag runs. Then we got down to the final few laps. How was it managing the difference? Because so many laps on the green, nearly 100 laps in total green flag runs, and we came down to the end with such a short run, 2-lap dash at the end.
It's kind of odd because I didn't have any reference for the inside line. I was kind of just running on the top, trying to see what I could do. But right in between, I changed the lines, and it was kind of working. Just a bit weird because, well, this guy is weird to begin with. But just trying to be on either line between the run, and it kind of worked for overall speed.
And everything working out at the very end for this 83 team. Looking to keep things going with Martinsville up next. The paperclip, another chance at victory. How do you feel about your chances as we head back to the short tracks to wrap off the tour?
Not good. As I said, I'm not really a fan of this car. It's kind of even harder to race into short tracks, and Martinsville is certainly not easy with this car. So we'll see. Maybe we can sneak by and steal another top 5. We'll see.
And hoping to keep things going in this number 83 machine. Another podium here in the second half. Guillermo Alvarez, any final thoughts after this event?
I just want to thank Jacob, every admin on the league. I think it's a very special day for Canales. I think he's having a celebration today. A very special day here in Mexico. So this one's for him. Also, you guys for the broadcast. Always cool to see the race after a while.
There we have it. The number 83 machine comes through. Podium finish here in Miami. Guillermo Alvarez, thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Now with Alvarez on the move, final driver of our podium here today, and it's going to be Guillermo Alvarez in 3rd, Sam Nito then in 2nd, and Seth Well coming through on top in the number 9 machine, effectively clinching a spot in the championship 4. Up next on the schedule, your penultimate race of the season, it's going to be all down to this, the paperclip. As it stands, the drivers going through. Points are being recalculated as it stands. Heading into tonight, though, we did not have an official points graphic to bring up. Do we have one now? Looking through, Looks like we do. Let's bring on the points right now coming into tonight to show you what's going on heading in anticipation of our next calculation. So stick around here. We're getting the final point word as it stands. This is coming into tonight, and hopefully we'll get a bit more word about what's coming after tonight. So it looks like right now this is your overall point standings coming into this race here in Homestead. As it stands, this was how things were looking before we took the green flag in Miami. So you'll see right now what's going on. Top drivers on the top of the board, of course, those who have been the most successful all season long. Consistency valued the most, and up in front you'll see the drivers in green are those who are moving on. The blue driver was on the bubble, so was Seth Noel, Tom Wetmore, Sam Nito, Jacob Fife. So of those drivers inside the final four, of course, Seth Noel, Sam Nito making major gains, and from there on out, few championship spoilers. Alvarez, Ward, Gidman, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Then you'll see Don Stevenson in 6th, Brad Patton's another spoiler in 7th, Smith is in 8th, and Wetmore is in 9th. So doing some quick calculations, Jacob Fife is most likely outside of the bubble now, and Tom Wetmore most likely has lost some spots as well. Don Stevenson makes up the most on anyone, and Caitlin Height doesn't make much time at all. She retires earlier into the going. Now, Nick Tarbuck also spins late, so he's going to fade back too. And our only other driver, Ross Cato, who is 17 points down coming into tonight, now looks to be in a slightly better spot as he comes home with another solid finish for that Ross Cato crew. However, 16th place, only better than Jacob Fife, so not overall the best. Solid finish given everything that we've seen this season, but on a field of 20 still doesn't help out all too much. So most likely, looking at the points situation right now, before official recalculation, I'm thinking 3 or 4 drivers here are set to stay inside of the frame. Don Stevenson might have gained the most, and we're still waiting on official recalculation to make sure that is the case. But that is your championship preview. Heading into Martinsville, there are still 4 drivers looking for a championship opportunity. 1 driver effectively locking it up. Sam Nito not too far behind, and Tom Wetmore, despite fading back later, is still going to have so many championship spoilers ahead of him that he'll still find himself in a solid spot heading into our penultimate race of the season. That is your championship preview heading into Martinsville when we head back on next Tuesday night for the Racing for the Cure 200, and we're set to have some exciting action as the rest of the tour gets things going. Tomorrow night, it's going to be the FORL Cup Series at Bristol for the Bristol 79.5 as they kick off Season 3 playoffs. We'd love to have you there as well. And we do believe that right now the Kentucky Derby is still going on. We'll automatically redirect you there. And thank you all for your support all throughout the night. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing all of tonight's action here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. If you enjoyed it all, be sure to leave a like on the channel and subscribe. Like on the stream, subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we cannot do this all without each and every one of our viewers here tonight. Thank you all once again for watching live on FTN. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of the Integrity Octane Series and the Racing for Breast Cancer 200, and we hope to see you all whenever we're live again on FTN. Thank you all for your immense support, and we hope you have a great night.